The topic that I have for you guys is strength. Now, because the theme of this retreat is, what's the theme? Do you guys remember?
Victory in Christ.
Yeah, victory in Christ, Victoria in Cristo, right? And so, to have victory, you need to be what? Strong. Be strong. Right? You need strength, right? And so, I just want to go over some definitions. How do you define strength, right? Because for some people, when I mention a strong man or a strong person, what do you imagine?
Muscular.
Muscular, right? What is he doing?
Flexing.
Flexing. Well, can you act that out for me?
I got you.
With your clothes on. All right. So what is he doing? What is he doing? Okay. So you can see. Okay, good. So strength is typically perceived as, like there's this tension going on, right? There's, for example, like somebody that's pushing, like for me, when I imagine a strong person, I imagine somebody pushing a strong wall of concrete, right? A strong block of concrete, and they're making force. They're working out their body, right? And they're like, right? So that represents strength.
But there's different kinds of strength.
Okay, so what other kinds of strengths are there?
There's mental strength,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual strength,
Yes.
economic strength.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay, good. So you mentioned more. The important thing is that you went into other fields of life, right? So it's not just physical strength, but there's all these other aspects. There's emotional strength, right? Emotional resilience, kind of like the man is typically seen as having physical strength, and the woman is typically seen as having what type of strength? Emotional strength.
Oh no, not really. You're right.
Or sometimes like they can manipulate your mind, right?
Knowledgeable.
Anyway, but I want to give you guys another picture of what strength is, because strength is usually associated with stress and anger, right? Because the more angry you are, kind of like the Hulk, right? The Hulk becomes stronger when he's what?
Bad.
When he's angry, right?
When he's
So, but I want to give you guys another picture of strength, right? And this picture of strength is different. When you read in the Bible, right? What are the best, like the ideal battle for a nation to have? What is it like? When God blesses Israel with strength, what are their battles like? Have you guys heard enough stories?
Enemies destroying themselves.
Yes.
Please elaborate.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What picture was that?
And he's trying to go.
Enemies destroy themselves. Right. Have you guys heard that story?
Yeah.
Yeah. What king was that? Was it King?
King. No, like what Israel?
Yeah.
With Israel.
I have to
it was
look it up.
King-
Yeah. You started with a nature name. Anyway, but so you look at different battles that Israel had. Huh?
Hezekiah?
Yeah, Hezekiah. Yeah, I remember that. There's Moses, right? And Moses against Egypt. What did that scene look like? There's plagues, and then God attacks Egypt for the nation of Israel. So the nation of Israel doesn't even have to fight, right? God is their strength, so they don't even have to worry about it, right? They just kind of stand by and watch God do the work, right? And how does Israel win the war? How does Israel win the battle? They take off. The sea parts open for them, and they just walk, right? And then there's the Egyptians chasing after them, right? Do they fight?
No.
Nope. They just keep walking, and God does the rest, right? So that's the ideal battle, right? When you have strength, when you have God on your side, is swift. Swift. One of the verses in the Bible, it says it's a quote by what did I write? It's a quote by Samson, and he asks God to make his vengeance swift against his enemies, right? For taking his eyes out. It says, Samson called to the Lord. It says, "O Master, Lord, remember me. Strengthen me just one more time, O God." This is when he's standing at the pillars. "So I can get swift revenge against the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Why does he want it to be swift?
So he doesn't feel pain.
Well, he already felt pain. He's probably feeling pain right now. But he says he wants swift revenge. Why is swift better? Because it's faster and because it's more efficient, right? It's like this.
Like people don't have time to react.
Yeah, exactly. So you look at the battles between Egypt and the nation of Israel. Then you look at let's go fast forward to when they're trying to take over the Promised Land. Right? When they're trying to take over the Promised Land, what happens? What's one of the first battles that they fight?
Jericho.
Jericho. Yes, thank you. So what happens in Jericho?
You go around the city 7 times.
They take a stroll around the city 7 times. Right? Do any of them pull out their swords? All they have is what? The trumpets and the Ark of the Covenant. And they walk around, and then what happens?
They blow it on the 7th day, and then
They
all
yell.
the walls crumble down.
Yes, they yell, and the city just
Oh, yeah.
falls. It just collapses, right? So it collapses. Did Israel lose any people? No. Right. So that's the ideal form of victory when you have strength, right? Swift, it's easy. So strength, the stronger that you are, the faster that you get things done. Put it that way. There's no stress involved. You know, a kid, when he's trying to pick up a rock, you know, okay, let's say I'm trying to pick up this remote. One person comes by. How about, I'll choose a volunteer. You. Come out and pick up this remote. Right, okay, good. Is he strong?
Yeah.
Okay, he's pretty strong. All right, have a seat right there, have a seat right there. All right, so what if another person comes by and he does this? Who's stronger? Him or me?
Right there.
But there was no struggle. There was no muscular tension going on. Why is he stronger? Because it was easy for him to get the job done, right? So strength is not necessarily the tension. It's not necessarily the struggle that you get over. The strength is swift. Strength is getting something done swiftly, right? The easier, the better. But then the question is, why when we imagine strength, why do we see somebody struggling? Why do we imagine somebody struggling? And for this, I want to bring up the example of Houdini. Do you guys know who Houdini is? Harry Houdini?
Yeah.
Who is he? Yeah, so he's a magician, right? And in his magic shows, he first started off by, he used to be tied in a straitjacket, upside down, dunked inside the water. I don't know if there was a time bomb involved. Anyways, but he had a time limit, and he had to get out before he drowned and before he died, or something happened, right? Toward the beginning of his career, the way that he performed that trick is that he would be calm, and he would get dunked, tied up and everything, and then, 5 seconds went by, and then he would pop out, and everybody would have gone, "Oh, nice, okay, he's out." And nobody was really impressed, and so, and why was nobody impressed? There's a question, right? And so, to make it seem, to make it seem more difficult, what he did is he started struggling, right? He changed his shows so that now he's struggling. When he got tied up, he made it seem like he couldn't get out, like he was trying to get out and he couldn't, right? And then they dunked him in the water, and then they put him upside down and locked him up, and he was struggling, and he was like pretending to be drowning, right? He's like, "I can't get out, I can't get out." He was giving that impression that he couldn't get out. And now when he gets out, now everybody's more impressed because they saw his struggle, right? So there's these two aspects. There's strength, right? The person can pick up this remote easily. And then there's a struggle. The person that struggles through because the remote is supposedly so heavy, right? But you see, it's probably easy for them, but they just do that to kind of like show the struggle, show how difficult it is. So one of them is actual strength, when you get something done like this. The other one is more an expression to kind of show people how difficult it is to get something done, right? And so those have two effects. And then the other example that I have is kind of like when somebody has a car and they, let's say they drive a Standard, right? Do you guys know what a Standard is? Standard transmission. But they don't know how to shift gears. So what happens? They step on, they floor the gas, right? And it's going like, I don't know, 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour max. And their car is going, like it's going really fast, but it's only going like 15 miles per hour, right? So it's showing a lot of struggle, but is it getting a lot done? No. Right, so there's that redefinition of strength. The battles in Israel, when God is on their side, victory happens like this, right? The battles where there's a lot of people dying and it's difficult and there's a lot of losses, that's because God is not with them, right? Sometimes people show the struggle in order to say, look, this is what I'm doing for you. This is how difficult it is, and look how easy I can get it done. But the struggle doesn't mean that you're strong. The struggle just means that you're less strong. It actually means that you're less strong. So that's one view of strength that I want you guys to pay attention to. Then the other view of strength is that strength is what it means to be a man, It means having strength. But then having the strength to stick to your conviction, to stick to your convictions. And what is, as far as manliness, what is our example as Christians that we should have as of the perfect man, of the perfect man that we should be? Who's our example?
You mean like from the Bible, or?
Yeah, Jesus, right? Simple. Because Jesus is our example, he's the perfect man, right? So, and what about Jesus should we imitate?
Character.
His character, right? What was particular about his character?
He's willing to serve.
He's willing to serve, right? Because he loves, right? And he had the strength to love despite what?
Not many
People, suffering humiliation, people torturing him, people arguing against him, his own people not being accepting of him, not accepting him, and he loved. He kept on loving in spite of all of this. When he was on the cross, he says, "Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they do." Right? So that's our example of what a man should be. To be able to love, to have the strength to love despite anything that happens to us. Right? And so the strength, again, is not struggle. You're not struggling to love. Right? But the perfect form of love is what? Is swift. So that when your love is supposed to be so strong that it doesn't matter what anybody does to you, it doesn't faze you. You just keep on loving. You just keep on smiling. You just keep on being concerned for them. You don't want to get back at them. You turn the other cheek if anything. And when we talk about loving your enemies, having mercy towards your enemies, right? In the last session that we had. So keep those two things in mind. The strength is swift. Strength is not stress. Strength is not struggle. Strength is swift and even relaxed. If you can do it in a more relaxed manner, somebody that picks up the remote and he goes, "Ugh." Okay, he picks it up, he gets it done. But somebody that goes like this, the easier the better, right? And also the strength to love. The strength to love in spite of what anybody does to you, right? The strength to keep your conviction of being like Jesus. So, before we get into that, so keep those two things in mind as we explore the emotional world, right? So because I'm working on a project these days, right? And it's a practicality project, and I'm doing a lot of research. There's a lot of introspection going on. And I want to present one of these little concepts to you guys. And it's about the emotional world, right? So the emotional world is something that often goes neglected because we can't really see it, right? Do you see emotions flying about people? There are certain times when you do see emotions. When is that?
Flying frying pans.
Flying frying pans, right? Because what causes the frying pans? Anger, right? So when it's obvious like that, it's more visible. But most of the time, you know, it tends to be neglected because it's invisible for the most part, right? So you cannot see it. But, and sometimes people are good at hiding it, right? So you cannot see it, but it does have a strong effect. Can you guys attest to that? Is that true or false? It's true, right? Right. But because you cannot see it, it often goes neglected. So let's explore this. I was about like 23 years old when I had this realization. So let me ask you this question. Was I 23? Was I 21? Somewhere around there. When you get angry, where does it happen? Where is your anger?
Your mind?
Okay, mind, so that's one answer. Anywhere else? Or if you're having trouble with that, try to think of sadness. When you're sad, where is your sadness?
The heart.
Okay, you feel something in the heart, okay? Right, so anger, I got the answer was the mind, sadness is in the heart. Why is it in the heart?
A move.
It is the rate slows down.
Okay, so you feel stuff happens in your body that lets you know that makes you sad, that makes you have that feeling of sadness, right? So I was like 21 or 23 when I realized this, that when you feel certain emotions, you actually feel them inside your body, right? And so you can go back to where you're sitting. I need another volunteer for this. Who's the emotionally strong right here? Are you?
Yeah, he is.
Are you?
I think you're talking about me.
All right. So let's see. Okay. How this? Who pays attention to their emotions a lot?
Come on, Jeremy.
Who's really sensitive? Who pays attention to their emotions? I also need you to be strong because you know this is a test. This is an experiment I'm going to have. I've never done it before.
I cry a lot.
You cry a lot? Okay. Oh look, we can use him as a volunteer. What's your name?
Albert.
Albert, do you pay attention to your emotions a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to try something with you.
Okay.
We were talking about strength, and we were talking about emotional strength and exploring the emotional world, right? So and I just told him that I had this realization when I was like 23 that when you feel certain emotions, they actually happen inside your body. Can you attest to that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to play a scenario, and you're going to tell me where you feel that certain emotion.
Okay.
Okay? So I remember this scene from when I think I was in 4th grade, right? And there was a cop. And he told me to offer him weed so he could show me an example of what to do afterward. So you're going to offer me weed,
Okay.
and I'm going to do something, and then when you feel that, then you're going to tell me where in your body you feel it. Okay?
Maybe I want some weed.
No! Get out of here, dude. Go on, get out. Get out. Get out right now. I'm not playing. I'm not having anything with you. I don't want anything to do with you. All right. So what did you feel?
The immediate reaction, I think, I felt it, I want to say that in my chest.
Okay. You feel something in your chest, right? That's why a lot of times, love, you always feel something in your chest. Most of the time you feel something in your chest. Love and sadness, you always feel it in your chest. Like a broken heart, you feel it right here. What else did you feel?
Feeling wise, what else did I feel? I felt like I messed up, oh man, this was a mistake.
Yeah, okay. So you felt this was a mistake, right?
Yeah.
So that's the interpretation, but where did you feel it in your body? Did you feel it in your body?
I felt it went from my chest and then to my stomach.
Okay.
And
Did you feel any tension in your back? Any warmth in your face?
Yeah, in my face, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So usually, okay, do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Now, when that happened to me, the cop did that to me, right? And I got scared, and I wanted to cry. I tried to hide it, but I wanted to cry, right? And I don't know if you noticed that, but you know, like, he backed off after that, and I was just like, and I was just a little kid. So how old are you?
30.
30. Okay, so you're a little bit more resilient than I was when I was in 4th grade. So, but that's the example. And do you guys realize that? Do you guys pay attention to his description, right? You feel certain things in your body, right? There's a flush in your, when you feel ashamed or when you feel shy, you kind of feel a heaviness in your throat, right? You kind of feel like a flush in your face, kind of like a warmth, something buzzing in the back of your neck when you feel stressed out, right? When you feel anger, there's something going on right here.
My hands are just sweat.
Yeah, so, like your hands start to sweat. There's tension all over your body. When you're depressed, how many people have been depressed here? Have experienced depression?
I probably have it anyway.
Okay. And what does that feel like? It feels like your body is literally heavy. Right? It literally feels heavy. You feel your limbs feel heavy, your head feels heavy. So that's why in cartoons, when a person is sad, how do they walk around? They walk around like this.
Your head hurts.
Right? They walk around like this because it actually feels heavy. Right? So this is the emotional world, right? And although you can't really see it, it has an impact on you. It does have it has a strong effect on you, and sometimes even stronger than the physical world. So since we explored that, now I just want to encourage you, first of all, to kind of explore that on your own as you go, like when you're at home, right? Try to feel those things in your body because those will be relevant. I will keep talking about it.
I'm gonna yell at my wife.
And she will feel it, right? But the thing is that you know, like a lot of us, we try to hide our emotions because we have that factor, we have that shame factor, so we try to hide our emotions, right? And we're so good at doing that a lot of times we're feeling a really strong emotion, but we're not showing it. And deep down inside we're hurting, but outside we have to smile because we're just used to doing that, right? So I want to talk to you guys about I want to compare emotional world with the physical world, right? There's such thing as physical attacks, then there's emotional attacks, right? A physical attack, if you watch any kung fu movies or any shows like that, what's a physical attack? Punching, kicking. Where do you kick the person? You can kick him in the torso, punch him in the face, right? The neck. That one really hurts, right? And depending, but here's what I want you to pay attention to. Depending on what you use to hurt him, it could be your limbs or it could be other weapons, depending on what you use, and depending on where you hit him, it hurts a certain way.
Neck.
Yeah, and it damages a certain way, right? So, as far as physical attacks, you can disorient a person, right? If you hit them in the head hard enough, you can blind them, you can weaken them, you can disable them. You know, if they, I remember one time I accidentally, kind of like the story that the doctor was telling, that the guy was slamming the door against his foot, right? I kind of did that with my arm, and then my arm went numb and I couldn't pick it up.
No.
Right? And so you could do that to somebody. And in physical, as far as the physical, you can kill somebody, right? It's kind of hard to do it if you don't have any weapons, but it can be done, right? As far as the emotional world, what kind of damage can you do to a person?
Emotional.
Yeah.
You could make them feel guilty.
Guilt,
Correct.
sad,
Embarrassed.
embarrassment, there's anger, and this stuff is stuff that disorients you. Disgust. And this stuff is stuff that disorients you. I remember this one time, I was in a really weird social situation, and I actually got dizzy because of all the pressure, because of the social pressure. I actually, I felt like I was about to faint because of what was going on, right? Because of the stress. And I was like, whoa, is this, am I actually going to pass out right now? Like, whoa, I got to gain my composure, right? So emotions do have an effect on you. And just like you can kill somebody physically, what can you do with their emotions? Yeah. You can't kill them emotionally, but you can make them,
You can harm them.
you can harm them enough so
There
that
are
they
some
harm,
people
so
that
that they
like,
kill
they've
themselves.
been emotionally affected so much that they just don't feel anymore.
Yeah. So you can kill them emotionally, but what I'm trying to get to is the topic that they've been going over. They've been going over. Also, the reason why I'm talking about this is because it relates to what they're going over there on the other side, right? So when you hear Pastor Caesar again, try to think about this and try to relate it to that, right? You become so worthless, you feel so worthless that you want to kill yourself, right? So a physical attacker can kill you, but an emotional attacker can make you want to kill yourself, right? And just to kind of point this out, it's and the reason why I'm talking about this is because there's people from ages to this is the statistics from ages 15 to 34. How old are you guys? 14. Okay, so you're about to actually in 10 to 14, from ages 10 to 14, the statistics are the number one cause of death from ages 10 to 14. It's accidental, then there's something else, and then the third cause of death is suicide, right? When you get from people from ages 15 to 34, the first cause of death is accidents, and the second cause of death is suicide. And that's alarming, because it's you either kill yourself accidentally or you kill yourself on purpose, and that's the biggest cause of death. And it's happening a lot, and so it's something that we try to raise awareness of because of what's going on, right? And there's a lot of people doing it, and it's like if you've ever contemplated suicide before, you know that you're not alone. You know that it happens a lot. You know that it's a common problem. And just to give you guys more statistics, for men, if you're a man, if you're a man, you're 4 times more likely to succeed in committing suicide. If you're a woman, you're 4 times more likely to attempt suicide. So, I guess women get suicidal more often, but men, they actually get the job done. And so 77% of suicide, of people that commit suicide, 77% of them are men. Yeah, so let's kind of go over this. Because, when you're talking about somebody that needs help like this, and somebody that's on the verge of committing suicide, why does that happen?
Peer pressure.
There's peer pressure? Okay, pressure into what? What kind of pressure?
Bullying.
Okay, bullying, right? Okay, so first cause right there is bullying, right? But what happens during bullying?
Threats.
There's threats. There's stuff that, the emotional attacks that we were talking about. What kind of depression? Yeah, there's depression, and depression is caused by love. And if you were paying attention to the pastor in Ponderosa, you would have something in mind. Obesity? Abuse, okay, abuse, yeah. Parental abuse specifically. He says that, your father, the father figure is the one that can make you feel worthless the most, right? And it takes a father to bring you out of that state, right? And so you see the scenario, right? And so imagine there's a person that's let's picture emotional attacks as if they were physical. So let's have a scenario. Imagine there's a person, they're really weak. They're bleeding out, right? They're asking for help. Like whoever he asks for help, instead of helping him, they attack him. Right? And so each time he comes across a person, does he get stronger or weaker?
Weaker.
He gets weaker, right? And then he comes to you, and what do? You slap him across the face. Right? And so he gets even weaker. Eventually, out of emotional, because his emotions are completely destroyed, what does he do? He commits suicide. Who killed him?
Well, the person rejected.
Right? So it's not a specific person, but it's kind of collective, right? It kind of turns into a pattern, right? And it's a pattern of reactions that people have against them. And because he doesn't get any better, people keep having those reactions against him, and eventually the worst happens. So I want to go over the bullying dynamic, because bullying, as you mentioned, is a really bad problem, especially with the youth. And I just want to ask you guys, how do you see that? What is good and what is bad as far as bullying? Can you guys describe the situation to me?
Well, I think bullying, the word bullying, I see bullying as a negative. If you want to make someone stronger or better, you wouldn't do it by bullying, you would do it by some form of constructive criticism.
Okay, so constructive criticism, being careful about what you say. There's that. But, yes?
It also depends on the person, how they take it.
Okay.
Like, say,
Yeah, it depends on the
I say
person.
you're weak. Some person, oh, then he cries about
Yeah,
it. Another person takes that as encouragement to get stronger, you know.
yeah. So if they have kind of more of a vengeful personality, they'll say, no, I'm not, and they'll try to prove you wrong, right? Anyways, so it depends on the person. It does depend on the person, because some people take it badly. Some people are sensitive and they take anything badly. So you don't really know how much to be careful with certain people, because it depends on the person how badly they'll take it, right? But as far as bullying and as far as the awareness that people are raising these days, there's always a good side and there's always a bad side, right? And the good side, or the bad side is who? The bully, right? And the good side is what? The victim or the person that goes against the bully, right? But is it always that clear?
No.
Okay. You guys seem like you have a little bit of common sense.
Oh, yeah,
Is it always that clear? Is it always good and evil?
Yes.
Bully and victim?
Yes.
Some people say yes, okay. I heard, was that a serious no, or was that a...
It was, but like, I don't.
Okay. So the thing is, that's kind of the image that we have, right? That there's always a clear line between. But what caused the bully to be that way?
Past events. Like
Past experiences?
Sometimes bullies have been bullied or are being bullied.
Yes. And that's why they turn to that, because that's the way they grew up. That's the way they were taught. And because they were taught that human beings are worthless, how will they treat other human beings?
The same way trash.
Yeah, they will treat other human beings like trash. So you have to wonder, like, why do they have that lifestyle? Why do they have that mentality? Why do they treat people like trash? Because maybe because
They were
them at some point, they were made to feel like they were trash. Right? So what I want to tell you guys is that the line is not always black and white. Right? Because the person doing the harming, sometimes the person plays the victim just to get back at the other person. Right? Have you guys seen that? I know I used to see it a lot when I was a kid.
I said no because like when it's wars, to us we're the good guys, but
Yes.
to the enemy they're the good guys.
Yes, exactly.
So it's perspective.
So in any fight, it doesn't matter what side you're on, the person that's on that side is the good guy.
Every side has a reason.
Yeah, every side has their reason. Thank you. And it's never that simple, because they both have their reasons, and I lost my train of thought. But there's the reason why the bully does that, right? And we have to pay attention to that, because sometimes, right, here, I was right here. That sometimes the victim, I used to see it a lot when I was a kid, or I actually did it when I was a kid, right? My brother would do something to me, right, and I would cry, and I didn't, like, it didn't even hurt, like, I wasn't even actually hurt, but I wanted to get him in trouble, right? So what I would do is I would cry, and I would cry really loud so that my my mom would pay attention to me and get back at my brother. I remember this one time, and I think this was the last time I cried. It was an embarrassing story. So this one time, my parents weren't home. It was just me and my brother. And he took away a toy, like nothing that was a big deal. And I cried, right? And I wanted to get him in trouble so bad that I decided, you know what, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry, until my parents come home so that I can get in trouble. And I cried, and I remember this. And until the point that I was like, no tears were coming out of my eyes. I was just, and then I just got tired. I got tired of crying. And I was like, you know what? And then when my mom got home, I just told him. He made me cry, and I was crying for hours. That was the best that I could do. I didn't stick to it. I didn't try hard enough. But at that point, I realized, like, why do I spend so much? Why do I try so hard to do it by crying when I could just tell them? So I think that was the last time I cried. I learned my lesson there. But anyways, so the line it's not always black and white. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? Sometimes the victim is the attacker, and sometimes the attacker is the victim. And sometimes, and you know, like that person that comes to you hurt, right? Their character is hurt. Their self-image is hurt. And because their self-image is hurt, they treat other people like trash, you know, because that makes them feel a little bit more worthy. If they treat others like trash, that makes them feel like they're better, like they're worth something, right? But if somebody treats you like trash, what are you going to do with them? You're going to get back at them and say, no, you're trash. And when you say, no, you're trash, and when you do it with enough conviction so that they believe it, what are they going to believe? That they're trash, even to you, right? And so that every person that comes around, and that they're trying so hard to make themselves feel like they're worth something, right? But every person that they come across, they get back at them when they say they're trash, right? Do you see where this is going? Who's the bully in this scenario? Right? The person that's getting hurt. The person that's going down the downward spiral. The person that's getting trapped in that pattern. So if you're weak, you'll be, and I'll finish this in 5 minutes. And before I finish, I want to go over this story, and just so you guys get an idea of what it's like to kind of deal with this situation. And I know, and just because this scenario is so rampant, you know, when there's a person that has that self-image, that they feel worthless, and that they're going down the downward spiral, right? And they feel weak, right? And there's so much emotional pain involved, and there's a need to get out. And this reminds me a lot of Jesus in Gethsemane, right? Because Jesus, throughout his whole life, and this is a passage from Desire of Ages. Have you guys read the Desire of Ages? Right, the Ellen White book. And there's this chapter on Gethsemane. Did you read it for Pathfinders?
Yeah.
So there's this chapter on Gethsemane where it describes when Jesus is in Gethsemane and what he experienced there. So I'm just going to read it to you, and just to kind of point out of how bad it can get. Right? The guilt of fallen humanity he must bear. Upon him who knew no sin may be laid the iniquity of us all. So dreadful does sin appear to him, so great is the weight of guilt he must bear, that he is tempted to fear it will shut him out forever from his Father's love. Feeling how terrible is wrath of God against transgression, he exclaims, he says this, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful even unto death. Right? So that's kind of the situation in which he feels such a weight on himself, such a spiritual weight on himself that he feels like he's going to die. And then it says, says, he went a little distance from them, from his disciples, not so far but that they could both see and hear him, and fell prostrate upon the ground. He felt that by sin he was being separated from his Father. The gulf was so broad, so black, so deep, that his spirit shuddered before it. This agony he must not exert his divine power. As man he must suffer the consequences of man's sin. As man he must endure the wrath of God against transgression. So he was enduring this pain. The conflict was terrible. Let's see. Anyways, so Ellen White describes him as suffering so much, as him being so weak, which was a character completely different than he was in everyday life, right? Because right now, in Gethsemane, all the sins of everybody are being put on him. So he feels the weight of all that guilt, of the world's guilt, right? So much so that he sweats blood. And it says, again, the Son of Man was seized with superhuman agony, and fainting and exhausted, he staggered back to the place of his former struggle. So he's staggering, right? He's weak. Has anybody attacked him at this point when he's at Gethsemane? Has anybody whipped him or hit him? Right. It's all that internal pain that he's bearing, right? And then there comes a part, and I'm just skipping through some of this because of the lack of time. So, but God suffered with his Son. Angels beheld his Savior's agony, so angels were watching him. They saw their Lord enclosed by legions of satanic forces. His nature weighed down with a shuddering, mysterious dread. There was silence in heaven. No harp was touched, so everything is silent. Could mortals have viewed the amazement of the angelic host as silent grief? They watched the Father separating his beams of light. So the mercy from God is withdrawing. The worlds have fallen, and the heavenly angels had watched with intense interest as the conflict drew to its close. Satan and his confederacy of evil, the legions of apostasy, watched intently this great crisis in the work of redemption. The powers of good and evil waited to see what answer could come to Christ thrice repeated prayer. So, and it describes here how angels have been wanting to help him. But because of the way things must happen, because of the thing that Christ must go through, they have to stand aside and let Satan do his work. And so no way of escape was found for the Son of God. And it says here, the angel, right, in this awful crisis, when everything was at stake, when the mysterious cup trembled in this, so here's, and Ellen White brings this image of Christ, and he has to drink this cup, right? Remember the prayer? And the cup is the cup of suffering. It's a metaphor. And it says, the cup trembled in the hand of the sufferer. The heavens opened. So the heavens opened, and light shone forth amid the stormy darkness of the crisis hour. And the mighty angel who stands in God's presence, occupying the position for which Satan fell, came to the side of Christ. So an angel comes. And when you read this, it kind of gives you hope. But you guys know the end of the story, so you know where it's not going. The angel came not to take the cup from Christ's hand, but to strengthen him to drink it. With the assurance of the Father's love. So, here's Christ, and he doesn't want to drink this cup, right? And an angel comes down to help him. But not to help him out of his misery, but to help him drink the cup that God has for him. And why does Christ do that? We mentioned this in the very beginning. Why does Christ go through this pain? Why does Christ go to the cross?
For our sins.
For our sins. Out of what?
Love.
He does it out of love. Right? So he went through that much pain, sweating drips of blood, superhuman agony. And he decided to do that out of love for us, right? And the angel came to strengthen him. Not to take away the suffering, but to strengthen him, so that he could take on the suffering. How much less is the pain that others cause us, and how much more convicted should we be towards loving them? The pain that we bear from others, the pain when a bully comes at us, is not that much compared to what Christ went through. Our love should reflect Christ. Our desire to love others, our ambition should be to love like Christ and to love others through all the pain that they cause us. So that it doesn't matter what they do, it doesn't matter what feelings they bring upon us. If they make us feel worthless, we can still love them beyond that. We don't need any approval from men, so God has us covered. We're already worth something, right? Now we just need to spread that to others.